glove down, follow. Obviously, they won't go 1, 2. Stay with my knees here a little bit. And then they'll go to the 3. We'll do the 3 blocking drills, and then we'll get into the actual. So, in a nutshell, that's it. I didn't cover throwing because it's a lot. I mean, I can certainly kind of go through the general stuff that we do. But if there's any questions, if you want, I can run through the throwing. Looks like Luce is still going.
One question I had is we always have a hard time how far back and how far forward.
So the general rule of thumb is that you should be positioned behind the plate so that you can barely graze the back shoulder of the hitter. So if I'm hitting here and I'm here, I should be able to be kind of in a squat so that I can barely just graze the back shoulder. The problem with that is, and I see it with the AAU team that I coach, these guys are like 17 years old. We have some guys who stand way back in the box, and then they have those long swings that we hate from the hitting. And that means that we have to stand way back here in order not to get hit. Well, that's tough to make a strike look like a strike from that angle. So you kind of have to weigh, a little bit of up and down. I think, close is bad and too far back is worse. But I would say that always keeps safety paramount. So I guess in short, to answer your question, far enough away so that you can't get hit, but close enough so that you can make a strike look like a strike. There could be some gray area there, but that's the best way I can answer that.
Sorry to teach the kids when they're not the littlest kids, but they get to that point where they kind of start to get it. Teach them to be in that position as if they were runners on all the time, even if there isn't, because they're want to relax too much.
Right.
When there's not a runner on, and they'll cough up a brain cramp when there's a runner on, and they won't do it. So they're focusing on that position all the time.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get your guy to get in the runner on position all times, that's great. I just know from experience that's taxing.
They'll get tired eventually, but they're still an age where they sort of rotate the kids through.
Yeah, so if that's the case, and you're not pitching like 7 or so innings, definitely do that. I think that's a great place for them to start. It's easier to get into runners off that stance and getting comfortable with that rather than getting comfortable with runners on.
How do you break this out with a kid that really just gets the butt
way too down?
Almost on the ground. I have this one kid in particular, he's pretty good, but his butt's way too far down. He can never get up in time to make a good throw. And it also causes problems when he has to go from side to side.
Well, I think that's one reason why the knee savers came out is because the knee savers are there so that you can't sink down like this, right? So if you're on your knee savers, you're always kind of perked up. And so that's why this is great. But this is bad when there's runners on base because if you're kind of open-chested here, you're like this, you're in a real bad position to A, get a target, and B, you're blocking the umpire behind you. And when you're trying to throw, going from here to there is plenty of breakdowns can happen. So not to neglect your question, but so how do you stop that habit? I would say that just keep on saying, allow me to eat off of your back. Allow me to eat off of your back. So it's always out in front. Or what you could say is, make sure that your eyes are behind your glove. So if you're sitting back here, you're probably here, right? Probably not seeing your glove at all.
It was the feet to the heels would be down so much, almost flat.
Yeah. I mean, flat isn't bad, but it needs to be towards the pitcher. The problem with this is that you're asking a lot out of your hips in terms of flexibility. So, what we do is we have stretches for our guys that promote flexibility in hips because that's what you need at all times. In particular, if we're asking you for 9 innings, do this. So, for hip flexibility drills, I haven't done these in a while, so it's a bit ugly, but stay here, get your hands behind your chest, or behind your back rather, and then put your chin to the ground. As far down, and then push back, and then come up. So you're going to feel right over here. So when you're down there, you can't allow your hips to move. So your hips are stationary here, and then try to go far down as possible. And then push back and come up.
Let's not practice. Get them, yeah.
Well, Mrs. at home might be happy with you, but we'll save that for another time. So again, you can do the same drill with kind of a kicked out. So you can do this and get down as far. This is a little bit easier, and it also works on your hamstrings. Do that, push back down, and come up. So I think all catchers should be doing that now, because just continuing to get some more hip flexibility, more and more and more. You know, you get to a point. If you're old and you haven't been doing them, there's only so much you can do. So the earlier you can do those hip flexibility drills, you know, research it online. I know I'm always looking for something new for hip flexibility, because that is huge for catchers, absolutely. Anything else, guys?
Can you go through some of the throwing?
Sure, absolutely. That seems like we have more than enough time. So, I think the biggest mistake that, you know, coaches do, whether it be younger or older, is that they say, you know, throw from your ear as a catcher. That couldn't be any more wrong. So, while it's definitely true that you want to get like a quick arm path to your throwing spot, because we don't have a whole lot of time when there's a runner on base. You know, like our pitchers, you do like that long loop, and then infielders, you're a little bit shorter, and then outfielders are really long because they have some time to get a good throw in. Catchers aren't like that. They need to be short, but you also have to be in a good position to throw. So what we have our guys do is that when they have that transfer, we say, ball away, L form, and we want to get that direct path right there. So it's almost like we're hitting, like right here, right? But it's just right away. You hear like, so some coaches take that and say, throw from your air. Well, if you throw right here, you can get nothing behind it. Absolutely nothing. What you gotta do is just flip that around, have an L right here, and be able so that you can turn right into it and have this flexibility in your arm. Because this is where the velocity comes from. This movement back. Okay? So, you know, when we're catching, the throws that we have to make is when we're in the crouch and there's a runner still in the second. So it comes in, and this is why we like to have the hand behind the glove. Hands behind the glove because we need to find the quickest way from here to this position. So we say, turn the glove open, hand is right behind there, and then it's just a beeline back to this spot. So a drill that we have our guys do, if you wouldn't mind flipping, we'll have our glove here, and this is going to be like a quick transfer. So it's just like a quick tap here, and then bring it right to the L over here. So it's mimicking that direct path from our glove to the backwards L. Okay? So in real time it looks like this. So you see how I brought it quick? It's not a stick transfer position. It is a fluid motion right to the spot. So again, and again, we have our guys, you know, mimicking right here on our butts, parallel, bang. Then what we have our guys do is, because you don't throw from this position, right? We get kind of jump on a skateboard and get here. So we work on like a line in the gym. We put our back leg down on a knee, again, open glove, comes in, same here, but our knee drops, and our arm gets into position. This is where the area where things can start to break down. What you can see sometimes is when this happens, this gets turned around over here, so this creates that motion. This can start to happen, or this can start to happen. Trying to find that happy medium for this L. This is what we're looking for, follow away. So that's why we work on a line, so we can maintain that short direct route to second. Because what we're doing with our feet here, guys, is what I like to teach. There's a couple different ways you can do it, but it's my opinion that this is the best. With our feet, the first movement is going to be right foot open, cutting this line in half. This direct line to second base, cut in half with our right foot. Left leg follows. As your left leg is following, that's when our transfer is happening. And once our feet are set, it should be running in concert with our hand, and that's when we can go and throw. We use a direct line because if we're open like this, there's no way
from this arm slot, we can get it directly to second base. What you'll see kids trying to do if they're open, they'll get up like this to try to get over the top and still work over, or the ball is just going to work towards the second baseman. Okay, so that's why I like line, cut it in half with your right, get over here. I actually do like a little bit of an inversion. The reason for that is because you want this with your backside hand. You want like this torque action to get through it. So a little bit good. This is bad. We want to, what we're doing with our feet doesn't really matter. It's what our shoulders do. If our shoulders still have the target, this nice cocked position so you can turn right in, keeping this L form so we can work right directly through second base. So if we're working with that, right? Pitch in. Pitch in's going to be good, right? This is going to be fine. We get here. Pitch middle. Okay. Now, maybe even a little bit to the third of the outside. I can still work there. Well, what happens when there's that pitch down and away? That's real tough. If we're here, I'm taking a step here. Now all my momentum's here, trying to get back here, and then, so I have momentum going this way, and then you're asking me to throw. That's no good. No way we're going to be consistent with that. So what we teach our guys, when those balls are kind of down and away, you just kind of fluidly shift through it. So you open this up from this position here, you sweep into it right. It's a little bit advanced, but working with the footwork we're working, that's the way that has to be done. So it's a little bit awkward too because you're way out here, we're getting a little bit open, and that's when this can start to happen. So, but you should have like kind of a natural indentation so you can just kind of fire right to second base. Definitely requires some arm strength. Those balls low and away, probably you're never going to throw a guy out, but you got to do what you got to do. So, any collegiate catcher with those down and away, that's what they do. So, any question on throwing, guys? So, I mean, the biggest thing is that when we practice, the footwork, we always do it without a glove. The reason why we do that is because we can identify the guy catching it, getting to the transfer here, or is it one fluid motion there? The other reason why we do it is that it teaches that quick hand. It allows us to not catch the ball, but merely guide it into our throwing. When you move up, the big thing is the pop time. It's the time that the ball hits the catcher's glove to the time that the second baseman receives it. What we do is it's not the time it goes glove to glove, but it's glove to tag. Because it doesn't do us any good if we can get it real quick up there, but it's somewhere in left field or center field, right? It's got to be, when is the ball in glove on tag? So, if you move up, you're going to hear oh, my pop time is 2 off. Well, what is it to the tag? Because that's what matters. It doesn't matter how quickly you get it there, it's how quickly you get it to the back. So I think from, when talking about throwing, it's how quickly can you get the ball to the second base bag, not to the second baseman's glove. All right. Any other questions? Good stuff, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.